people.
Yeah, but it's also when you throw in the element of race and the history of the Klan, they terrorized black. They've murdered.
I'm not saying they haven't.
That's why should we just talk about the famous scene at the end with a certain famous person?
No, I wouldn't.
I don't want to spoil it.
I think you already did at one point, but
I mean, well, if they see it, it's like they still have to see it. But
I mean,
no, I'm not gonna say it. But bottom line is, there's a point in the movie where, and there was historical footage in the movie, but I'll just say this:
what was your favorite?
I'm not gonna
part?
say what it was.
What was your favorite part of the movie? And let's just end the discussion.
My favorite part, like I said, was really the discussion with him, Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, who was also on the show Ballers, as a receiver. Yeah. The discussion he had with Adam Driver, and Adam Driver opening up, and you could see, like, him leaning towards him and realizing, like, damn, this is kind of what you go through. But nobody really ever looked back and said, like, yo, they pretty much told him, like, coming in, like, you know, pretty much the whole burden's on you as a black man doing this. And it's not really considered how heavy of a double consciousness black people truly live. Where, like, we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. And in this particular case, depending on who you are and who you see in this movie and who you can relate to, that's where I think is where the true dialogue and the connections lie. Not necessarily in the racism and the blatant, open, ha-ha, boom, you know, those moments that are supposed to shock you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, you have to really look at, okay, the relationship, how things started, and where this ended up. Because I feel like it's too many times where we watch movies like this.
This guy's rambling.
I'm not rambling. No,
you are. I just
not.
asked you for a favorite part to end the discussion. You're overall on a tangent.
Oh, fine. I pretty much said my piece, but yeah.
You've already hit all these points, bro.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead, Mancini.
Well, I think one other thing I wanted to just quickly mention was even just, I don't know, from a context point of view, the fact that the whole case even happened is kind of astonishing. You know, I have a little bit of knowledge of Colorado at that period in American history. Never been to Colorado, surprisingely, but I've done some research.
Why is it surprising? Because you're white? You're supposed to go skiing?
No.
I've
traveled. No, I like to travel. I've never been to Colorado. It's just.
No, I'm just saying.
You've been like across the world, but you've never been to Colorado.
Like,
well, anyway,
we're supposed to say it's surprising.
You're in Brazil, Greece. Like, you've been all over the world.
I've never been to Greece.
Really?
I've been to Italy.
You've been to Italy, but you've never been to Colorado.
Anyway.
That's crazy.
I haven't been to Sacramento yet. Or San Francisco.
You don't need to be in Sacramento. There's nothing in Sacramento.
Anyway.
Don't lie. Sacramento's lit.
Shout out to Brandon and them, but Sacramento. What am I going to say?
Anyway,
River.
My point being that just the fact that the whole case even, you know, happened just by Ron going on the phone like that, it was kind of like, you know, I work in an office. If I had a phone call slightly similar to that, it would be handled a lot differently. But, you know, things being what they were, given that it was a movie, you know, as Kenny said, suspension of disbelief, you got to kind of have that to some degree. I guess my favorite part of the movie, and it's probably my favorite part for really kind of ominous reasons, and that's probably right before the actual end of the film, when the hallway moment.
Yeah.
And that's just because that's the kind of obscure, like the kind of ominous obscurity of sort of where the ending is going, because, you know, you do watch, if you watch films that do focus on moments in history, they're either very cloudy and hard to really interpret when you're thinking, okay, I know the person dies because, you know, this is a real person. History is history. But the fact that Spike Lee handled it in a unique way that's, you know, unique to his style of filming, just in general, just as an artist, it made it all the more kind of terrifying. And it also just kind of made it very poignant from, you know, again, the historical perspective, and even just looking at it, because, you know, Kenny made the great point of how it's almost like that hallway scene was them sort of looking off into the future, even while they're looking at something that's so sacred, but also at the same time so terrifying with the burning cross. Spoilers. And then it kind of got slapped on top of with the ending.
That was a really quick transition at the end. Nah, we didn't, because there's certain points.
Nah, we hella spoiled it.
But again, I thought the transition could have worked well enough without specifically saying what it was.
On that same note,
if you don't like spoilers,
on that same note, I'll give you my favorite part.
Yeah,
which was the part kind of leading up to that point, which is pretty much the climax of the movie. Basically, with the dual stories between the rhetoric being shared on the BSU side,
mm-hmm.
and the rhetoric being shared in
rhetoric?
the. It's actually rhetoric, but okay.
No, I was like making it. Remember in the movie they're like, "Ruh" or "ara."
Yeah, whatever.
Never mind.
Anyways, yeah.
Never mind.
Wait.
I'm mad that you didn't get that.
There's crickets. Anyways, so my favorite part was, like I said, the comparison between the BSU and the comparison between the Klan and their ritual, because not only do you kind of see two different people kind of like sharing, basically two thought leaders sharing their rhetoric,
except one's definitely wrong
from opposing point of views,
right?
But it was just crazy to me because it's like you see the look on the followers and you see it bounce back and forth between the suspense, and you just see the same kind of like human emotion. And like you said, one side is wrong, yeah, but the root of that, it's the same fucking feeling.
Not really, because white people aren't being oppressed like that. Black people were literally being murdered. Like the stories they were telling. No.
But I mean, even
from like an inspirational standpoint, like
no.
I get it.
No. I mean, even beyond that, just the feeling of wanting to
have power over another.
That, and also the feeling of wanting to have an identity of yourself and wanting to be part of a collective and just wanting to be part of a group. And I feel like Spike did that in a way where you could see the comparison and see that these are two different, completely different ideologies being pushed forward, but you're seeing the same
motivation.
Yeah, and reaction
in its purest form.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll accept that. Yeah.
And
I just don't know if I could see Spike Lee really trying to make that point, but make it kind of, I don't want to say balanced, but from a filmmaking standpoint, it was like a balancing act watching it. Like I sat there and thought, I've seen this before. This is a Hollywood cliche.
Well, because the weird thing is, like, I didn't feel sympathy for the class people, but I didn't hate them either. Like,
that's a crickets moment.
Well, because the whole thing was, when you really think about it, there was no like real portrayal of violence outside of the end.
What?
Like, it was insinuated.
They shot at a car.
Exactly, they shot at a car.
They
didn't connect
black bodies.
But you didn't see it.
But if I shoot a gun off with the intent to kill you,
but you didn't see it. But you didn't see it. That's what I'm telling you. So that filmmaking decision was deliberate. Like when he was getting beat up, you don't see him get beat up. You don't see any of that. You even the lynching. You saw pictures of the lynching,
right?
But you didn't see anything like that.
It was all word of mouth, but I'm saying
it was all insinuated.
Yeah.
Because if they would have showed the image, then I would have hated it. Then I would have felt mad. I would have felt angry.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. That's
the scene
that's
just
that's,
felt-
I'm
that's,
enemies with the Klan off rip.
that's the thing that fascinates me with the whole movie, because, like I said, I don't really know what Spike wanted me to feel towards the Klan.
Okay. I just felt that scene was just... I
Outside
just
of what I
having fun.
already know from the Klan, which is what Kenny's talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I hear you, but I think that scene, it's hard to tell what the point of it was. Just, I mean, again, trying to separate myself from the sort of more film critique notion of it. It's tough to understand why, because, you know, I was reaching a point sitting there where I'm hearing, you know, both sides sort of, you know, chanting with, you know, arms up in the air, and I just kind of remember sitting there being like, okay, it's back and forth. It's, you know, it's like a movie where you got one army rising up against another, and
yeah.
But
exactly.
it was like, I'm thinking this movie's a bit more nuanced than that. I don't know what this is doing in this film, and
maybe we just need to watch it again.
maybe.
I think the goal was never to solve a bigger problem of racism. It was simply,
Of course not.
It was
Can't
simply
do that shit with the movie.
they solved a case.
Spike Lee already knows that. He's done enough movies.
Yo, dude, I think-
know that.
The biggest point that we're taking our eye off of is they saw, like, the case, because it's already based off true facts. It already all happened. The case happened, and I'm not going to say the end scene in the bar that we were all like, oh, damn. Like, that
That had a very movie feel.
That
had a very,
That
like,
did have
well,
a very movie film.
well,
that's
you know,
what I feel like. That was the true ending. Everything
here's-
else after that,
here's
was
to the end
get
of
you
it, to a
thinking.
good case, gang. Like, it had kind of a Scooby-Doo kind of
Yeah, that
ho-hum
really
feel.
was.
That was
It felt
just...
like an episode
Yeah,
of
that was
Supernatural.
weird.
yeah. But, I don't know. I mean...
I think
Yeah.
it's just not for us to like it. I put it in the same boat as This Is America, the video. People will see it as problematic, but also as very necessary because we need visuals to spark things in our brain. And like us looking at this compared to, let's say, young kids looking at this, compared to a racist looking at this and swearing they're not racist, it all goes back to where you see yourself as. Where do you inject yourself into this narrative? Because this narrative is happening right now, as we all speak.
Right. There's also a way of
That's true.
just making it haunting with some of the visuals that you see. And I like that you mentioned the This Is America video, too, because that's something where, you know, I saw the music video, listened to the lyrics, and I both loved it, but was also just shocked seeing it.
I had to watch it like 15 times.
Oh, me too.
I saw something new. I was like, oh, damn.
But then, like, I go to
And then the
a
memes
party and I hear, you know, they're playing it, and I'm watching people dance, and I'm just kind of like,
I get disgusted by it.
no, this in itself is its own art form, with the video, with the, you know, the dance, with, you know, everything
like a
else that
snake
you
charmer.
see. And I think that BlacKKlansman tried to do elements of that with the music, and even just like when Ron encounters the targets, like that, moments like that, the hallway scene, they all try and evoke that kind of haunting
That's what I'm saying.
feel
That-
when it comes to talking about issues of race in America. Like, one great example is there's an artist named
it's a
Carl
quiet-
Walker,
It's a quiet pain.
and she her artwork, you know, again, it's a very haunting. Some of it's haunting, some of it's beautiful, some of it's tragic, but it's the kind of thing that, of course, you know, it starts a conversation. It gets people wanting to talk about the history of racism in America, what it was to be a slave in the pre-Civil War South, what it meant to be, you know, living in the South and just living across the country after the Civil War. And I think that we've made a lot more steps in art, forms of art, whether it's music or film, that touches on it. I think it's just the issue of, if you want to have a conversation following that, that's when people kind of get thrown off, because I think, you know, people don't know how to talk about it. And I think with this movie, you can have conversations like what we're having, or you can have people that, you know, to go back to the point of people clapping at the end, they're looking at it as, oh, it's just a, you know, powerful auteur of film, but
it
it's
was
like,
just really entertaining. I
They
mean,
go-
it was entertaining.
They go about
Yeah.
their day, and then next thing you know, they're like, remember the movie Crash? like then some real life scene from Crash happens,
Mhm.
and then it just, that's what I'm saying. It's all about narrative.